Excuse me. Now, how clean is your child's dummy? Well, according to research out today, not very. 9 out of 10 of them are contaminated with harmful bacteria, apparently. What's more, nearly a fifth were found to be grossly or heavily contaminated. Only 1 in 10 dummies were found to be completely sterile. Well, Dr Ronald Cutler headed up this research. He's an expert in infectious diseases. And he joins us now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I'd like to take the opportunity to say hello to all my friends at the University of Ulster.
Oh, well, that's good. Hello from them to you. Yes. How worried should people be about this? I mean, do we get too hung up on keeping everything boiled in Dettol or whatever for a fortnight before it gets anywhere near any of our children?
Yeah, I mean, what we're not trying to do is scaremonger, believe it or not. What we did is we did a little survey about, we're interested in what sort of pathogens exist in the environment. And so we did a survey with some dummies which would be unused, and we just dropped them in the environment. And we found, not surprisingly, if you drop them in the environment, something like 10% of the dummies will pick up a gross contamination. We've got no interest at all in the sort of low levels or a few hundred bacteria on a specimen. We look at things that are really sort of almost paste-like. And so about 10% of them picked up the bacteria, and we were quite surprised that one of the areas that seemed to be worst were people's kitchens. So on the basis of that, what we did is with Milton, they supplied us with a whole load of used dummies, which came from babies all over the country, and including Northern Ireland. And so we investigated those for gross contamination, and unfortunately we found that something like 16% of the dummies we tested were very heavily contaminated indeed. Again, we weren't interested in just a few bugs, we were looking at gross contamination on these specimens.
So how dangerous could this be for the babies and youngsters into whose mouths these comforters are being put?
Well, one of the things that we did note is that babies seem to have dummies for various periods of time, shall we say. And so the dummies that were, one particular dummy was with a baby for about 9 months to a year, and it was really grossly contaminated. Now, the organisms that were involved in this were a thing called Enterococcus faecalis. So you can imagine where it normally lives, which is in the human gut. And it can cause upset stomachs and make the baby feel ill and sick. And it can also cause urinary tract infections. So all we're trying to point out is, in the most part, there's nothing to worry about in the fact that, 80 to 90% of the dummies we use were virtually sterile. People are looking after them properly, and they're not getting heavily contaminated. Unfortunately, in this group of about 10 to 15%, you do have a potential problem in the fact that they're really heavily contaminated with bacteria that could cause a problem in the baby.
I'm interested when you say that one of the dirtiest places, if I heard you correctly, is people's kitchens. And
yeah.
I think a lot of us work on that sort of 5-second rule, don't we? If you're making the dinner and something falls on the floor, if you pick it up really quickly, it's okay.
Yeah, well, unfortunately...
That sounds like that might not be true.
Well, unfortunately, if you go back into the press, you'll find I've done the 5-second rule as well. And we looked at it, and basically there is no 5-second rule. Basically, if the floor's contaminated, you drop something on it, the transfer is virtually instantaneous, especially if the agent is sort of covered in saliva, a nice sticky substance that will pick up all sorts of muck and dirt from whatever dirty floor there is.
Oh dear! So
the 5-second rule.
Working on the basis,
please don't.
That if there's no dog hair on it, it's okay.
Well, I don't know. Dogs are pretty resistant, but please don't use the 5-second rule for anything. It's just we couldn't even find out where it came from when we actually investigated it. We tried to find out where the actual 5-second rule first originated, and we couldn't find anywhere, at least on the web, which suggested where it came from.
What about this stuff, though? Our mums and grannies can't have been wrong, can they? I mean, they kept the place pretty clean. Things were boiled, babies' bottles, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I remember my mum telling me that she stopped boiling the bottle that she gave me when she found me sitting on the floor in the sitting room, sharing the dog's biscuits with her. We all survived, and yet, our children or grandchildren now seem in some cases, to be less able to fight things off than we were.
Well, are they? That's a big question, because basically what you've got to do, what we're looking at, and the reason that we're looking at what's changing in an environment is because the population and environment are changing. I haven't got an hour, but I can give you an hour lecture on this, but the bottom liner is that we have a problem with antibiotics and drug resistance. It's in the press all over the last 6 months. Basically, drug-resistant organisms, there's some that are virtually untreatable. That takes you back into the 1890s, when we didn't have anything to actually treat bacterial infections with at all, and people lived to maybe they were 40 or 50. Nowadays, we're going to live until hopefully 90 or 100, and the whole scenario of the human lifespan changes. Therefore, what you want to do is make sure that at every stage in the human lifespan you have a chance to build up immunity, and you've got a chance to grow and thrive. And to do that, we have to keep the environments under some sort of control, because we have an international environment where a bug can be in Hong Kong one day and in the UK a few hours later. And we've got to think about things like hygiene and how to control the spread of bacteria under these conditions.
Well, it's good to talk to you, and I promise I'll try not to use the 5-second rule in future.
Well, no, I mean, I use a decent sterilant and you'll be perfectly okay. And there's lots of websites you can get information about how to actually clean dummies, like the people that helped us with this were Milton.
I've got text in. Andrew says, "What a load of rubbish! You can't wrap your baby up in cotton wool.
Absolutely
a bit of bacteria is harmless."
We don't intend to wrap people up in cotton wool, but what we've got to say is try and be prepared. And I agree with the fact that people say, well, environmental bacteria, they're okay, there's no problem at all. And then you find out 10% of the people that get infected have been infected by bugs that they've picked up from the environment. If you're unlucky enough to be the one in 10%, then, it's your choice. We're not instigating any protocol that people must do it. We're just saying, these are the facts, do with them what you may.
Interesting. See, while you're mulling over all of this is just because you sound like you might be quite a bit of fun. Do you have a cup of coffee while you're talking about all of these things, while you're working these things out? And if so, what sort?
What sort of coffee?
Yeah.
A latte.
Oh, dear me. Do you know what that says? It says you're neurotic and eager to please.
That's probably true. But the other one's a cappuccino. What's that?
Obsessive and controlling.
Well, I'm somewhere in between the two.
I thought you might enjoy that. It looks good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on today. We'll pass